Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at something, well, potentially huge, a really big shift in the business world.
Yeah, we're talking about what happens when the whole idea of a company, the traditional one with employees,
hmm
what happens when that starts to fade away because of automation?
Exactly. And we're digging into the ideas from the last company, what happens when all work is automated.
Right. And the source material goes way beyond just like robots on an assembly line. It's looking at a future where AI could handle pretty much, well, everything in the business.
Think about the old way, right? You hire people, you train them, manage them. It's this whole complex human system.
hmm
But this material we're exploring today suggests that relying purely on human teams is actually becoming maybe a bit of a drag, a bottleneck.
Yeah, the source points to things like mistakes, burnout, people leaving,
Hmm.
plus just the difficulty of scaling up, adding more people, managing payroll. It gets complicated fast.
So that really leads us to the big question for
Mm.
everyone listening. If AI can do almost any job, what's left for us,
Mhm.
for humans?
And more importantly, how can you actually thrive, make the most of this changing landscape? That's what we really want to unpack today.
Okay, let's maybe start with how companies have evolved. The source kicks off with Company 1.0, the classic model.
Right, Company 1.0, that's the one we all basically know. It runs entirely on human employees doing all the different jobs.
Simple enough.
Well, yeah, but the source highlights its limits. You want to grow, you add more people, but that adds complexity, maybe slows things down. It doesn't scale perfectly, you
Right.
know?
Not like plugging in a new module. Integrating people takes effort, overhead.
Exactly. And while early automation existed, it was pretty limited. Specific tasks, maybe?
Okay, so that brings us to Company 2.0. The source calls this the AI stacked startup. And this is where things start feeling different. Pretty wild, actually.
Oh, absolutely. This is where a single person, a founder, can suddenly pull together a whole suite of AI tools to do critical stuff.
Like, what kind of stuff are we talking about?
Well, the source gives concrete examples. You've got AI like GPT-4 for coding, Midjourney or Figma's AI for design work,
Okay.
AI-driven CRMs for managing leads, AI agents handling customer support, even sales calls or training material
Wow. So tasks that used to need whole teams.
can now be handled or at least heavily supported by AI. Even things like HR, payroll, basic operations, there's automation software for a lot of that now.
And the source makes a point that this isn't just theory, right? People are actually doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. There are solopreneurs out there running businesses that, from the outside, look like fully staffed companies, but behind the scenes, it's just them and their AI tools.
No team, no office, less chance of burnout, maybe?
That's the idea. It changes the whole dynamic of starting and running a business. It's not just about replacing roles, it's about fundamentally changing how quickly you can adapt, experiment.
Faster iteration, maybe? Less inertia?
Precisely. And this company 2.0, according to the source, it's really just a bridge, a step towards something even more radical.
Which is Company 3.0, the autonomous enterprise.
Exactly. Now, this is where the traditional company structure really starts to, well, dissolve.
Okay, paint a picture for us. What does that even look like?
Imagine a company with, get this, no CEO, no human managers calling the shots,
Seriously. So who runs it?
an AI. The source describes it as having a central AI brain that coordinates everything. And under that, you have lots of specialized AI agents doing specific tasks.
Like little AI departments.
Sort of, yeah. And it might have its own digital treasury, maybe uses tokens for incentives.
Tokens. Like cryptocurrency.
Could be. And decisions might be made through a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization.
Okay, DAO. Break that down a bit.
Think of it like an organization run by code, by rules on a blockchain. Token holders vote on decisions instead of having a board of directors. It's very different.
So the whole principle of Company 3.0 is AI takes inputs, processes them, generates outputs. Humans aren't really employees anymore.
Mostly not in the traditional sense. The source suggests humans are more like users, customers, or maybe token holders who have a stake in the system's success.
Okay, this still feels pretty abstract. Does the source give examples?
It does, and they're pretty mind-bending. Think of a game studio where AI generates the concept, the art, the code, everything.
Right.
Or an e-commerce store where AI finds products, manages the inventory, handles shipping,
Yeah.
completely automated.
Okay, that's more concrete.
They even float ideas like AI law firms doing contract automation or AI logistics companies managing driverless fleets.
It really forces you to rethink what a company even is,
Yeah.
if it's not people and culture.
Exactly. The source argues that in Company 3.0, the key elements become digital capital and code. Things like HR departments, company culture,
Uh,
they become less central, maybe even irrelevant.
with a massive shift in
It
priorities.
really is.
Okay, so listening to this, I can imagine people starting to feel a bit nervous, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, if AI is doing all this, what about us? Are we just out of a job? Yeah.
That's the natural reaction, isn't it? But the source directly addresses that fear. And thankfully, it argues, no, humans aren't becoming obsolete.
Phew. Okay, so what do we do?
Our roles change. We shift from being the ones doing every single task to more strategic oversight roles. New kinds of opportunities open up.
Like what?
Well, the source talks about curators, people who guide the AI, train it, make sure it's actually working towards the right goals, aligning with our values. You still need that human direction.
Okay, guiding the AI. That makes sense. Does that idea of shaping these systems resonate with you, thinking about your own skills?
It's definitely an interesting angle. And then there are the visionaries.
Visionaries.
Yeah, the people who come up with the big ideas, who define the purpose of these AI entities, figure out what products or services people actually need or want. That strategic creative spark, AI isn't there yet.
So the why behind it all still needs a human.
Seems like it. The source also mentions governors.
Governors. Like political governors.
No. More like rule setters. As these autonomous companies become more common, someone needs to set the rules of engagement, manage the incentive systems in those DAOs we mentioned.
Ah, okay. And handle the ethical side of things too, I imagine.
Absolutely. Overseeing the ethical implications is a huge part of it, creating the framework for these AIs to operate within.
Got it. What else?
Then there's the investor role, but maybe slightly different from today.
How so?
Instead of just buying stocks, the source suggests people will participate by holding tokens in these new AI-driven ecosystems. You own a piece of the protocol, essentially.
So your success is tied directly to the success of that AI system or network, not just a salary.
Exactly. It changes the whole relationship, doesn't it, between the creators, the users, the platform. If value is in the token, everyone's incentives might align differently.
Interesting. Any other roles?
One more key one, educators. People who teach others how to actually use these new AI systems effectively, how to navigate these new economies.
Because just having the tech isn't enough. People need to know how to leverage it.
Right, that skill itself becomes valuable.
So boiling it down, the source is saying success in this future isn't about resisting AI, but about what? Owning it, shaping it.
Pretty much. Owning, training, and distributing AI technologies. Moving from being just an employee drawing a wage.
To being a creator, an owner, a participant in these new systems.
That seems to be the core message.
Okay, this leads nicely into something else. The source discusses a specific platform, x365.ai. It presents it as a real-world example trying to build for this future.
Yeah, they use it as a case study, almost. A platform designed for this kind of AI-driven future, not just talking about it.
So what does it actually do? What are its components?
Well, one part highlighted is their AI Academy. The idea is to teach regular people how to build their own AI-powered business units.
So trying to make AI creation less intimidating, more accessible.
Seems like it. Democratizing it, you could say. X365.ai is one approach. Are we seeing other kinds of platforms trying to empower people in this new economy too?
That's a good question. Probably lots of different models emerging. What else does x365.ai have?
They also mention an affiliate model, basically rewarding people for spreading the knowledge, for bringing others into the ecosystem to learn and build.
Creates a network effect, right?
Yeah.
More people involved, the more valuable it becomes for everyone.
Exactly. And underpinning this, they have their own native token.
Ah, the tokens again. So value and incentives are tied to that token within their system?
That's the idea. Participation, contribution, it's potentially rewarded through the tokenomics of the platform.
They also mentioned something, quantum mining engine. Sounds complex.
Yeah, the source doesn't dive super deep into the tech specs, but the concept seems to be about creating feedback loops.
Feedback loops. Meaning
systems that automatically reward actions that benefit the ecosystem, like building useful AI tools, referring
Right.
new users, engaging actively.
so it intelligently incentivizes growth and contribution, using algorithms to figure out who adds value and rewarding them.
That appears to be the gist of it, trying to create this self-reinforcing cycle of innovation.
And the overall goal, positioning the platform itself as a What did the source say? A breeding ground.
Yeah, breeding ground for these Company 3.0 models, a place where these autonomous AI-driven enterprises can actually be built and launched.
Not just tools, but an environment for them.
Right.
And the source makes a pretty, well, a very bold claim about the future, doesn't it, tied to this?
Extremely bold. They predict that within just 5 years, the global economy won't be run primarily by traditional companies anymore.
Oh, by?
Intelligent protocol, these AI-driven systems, and they position X365.ai as potentially becoming like a fundamental operating system for this new world.
Wow, that's ambitious, is putting it mildly.
It is, but, if you follow the logic of Company 1.0 evolving to 2.0 and then 3.0,
Yeah.
well, it's a possible trajectory.
And it brings us right back to that core choice the source presents for everyone listening.
Exactly. Are you going to be sort of sidelined by automation? Or are you going to figure out how to be part of it, how to own it, how to shape it?
And they stress it's not necessarily about needing to become a coder overnight.
No, not at all. It's more about understanding the underlying shift, grasping what they call intelligent capitalism,
Moving from the age of payroll
where your income is
Mhm.
tied to your job as an employee.
to the age of protocol dividends. Earning by participating in and maybe owning parts of
Yeah.
these intelligent systems.
That's the fundamental shift they're pointing towards.
And they explicitly suggest X365.ai could be one way to start making that transition.
Yeah, they frame it as a pathway. It might start small, make one referral, get one token, claim something through their engine.
Just taking those first steps to get involved, to learn by doing.
Seems to be the encouragement, yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the last company, maybe that's the thought to leave everyone with, that central question from the source.
Mhm.
Are you ready to explore this blueprint? The blueprint for potentially the last company you'll ever need to build.
Yeah.
But build it differently.
Not as just an employee, perhaps, but as an owner, a participant. Someone actively involved in this emerging age of intelligent automation.
Something definitely worth thinking about.